Welcome back to our channel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Eric. We're here to help you understand English words better in a simple and fun way.
That's right. We focus on keeping things very easy to understand. So, if you're learning English and think it's hard, stay with us. We promise to make it easier for you.
Absolutely. And don't forget, we love making learning fun. So, get ready for some interesting dialogues and chats.
Today, we will learn 5 words as usual.
The first word is to avoid. Then we will continue with purpose. Ordinary. To be upset. The final one is to get rid of.
Okay, we'll start with the word to avoid.
To avoid.
To avoid. It's an important word that can help you in many situations. What does it mean, Eric?
To avoid means to stay away from something or someone because it could cause trouble or harm.
Yes, like when you see a puddle of water on the ground, and you walk around it because you don't want to get your shoes wet. You avoid the puddle.
Exactly, Lisa. Or when you know eating too much candy is bad for your teeth, that's why you don't eat it. You're avoiding getting cavities.
Okay, let's have a look at our example dialogue.
Look, Tom. That big dog looks a bit scary. Let's cross the street.
Good idea, Sarah. It's better to avoid any trouble.
That was a simple example of how you can use to avoid in a sentence. Sarah and Tom decided to cross the street to avoid the big, scary dog.
That story about Sarah and Tom avoiding the dog was interesting. Lisa, have you ever avoided something like that?
Oh yeah. Once, there was a sidewalk covered with birds. I took a really long way to avoid them, but even though I changed my path, the birds still followed me. At first, I was very afraid, but then I stopped and I liked and patted the birds. It was a really nice experience for me. What about you, Eric? Do you have any story you have avoided?
Definitely. When I was a child, I avoided the kitchen late at night because I thought I would see a ghost. Can you imagine what I imagined? Seeing a ghost? Then, when I didn't see any ghosts and understood that ghosts don't exist, I stopped avoiding the kitchen at night.
Wow, I can imagine you were walking on tiptoes to avoid the ghost in the kitchen. It's funny.
Yes, it was very funny to walk like that.
And Eric, we don't use to avoid just bad things. Sometimes we also avoid to save time, or just to feel safer.
Right? For example, I avoided going on a long holiday last year because I didn't want to spend a lot of money.
Or I avoid sleeping for a long time to study enough for my exams.
Yes. By the way, Lisa, did you notice that we use ing form if we use a verb after to avoid?
Yes, Eric, like avoiding sleeping for a long time or avoiding going on a long holiday.
Please be careful when you use a verb after to avoid. Okay, let's move on to our next word. Purpose.
Purpose. It's a simple word, but very important. Purpose means the reason something is done or used or why someone does something.
That's right, Lisa. For example, the purpose of a knife is to cut things. It's used for that reason.
Exactly. And when we talk about people, we might ask, what's your purpose in learning English? It means, why are you learning English? What's your reason?
Yes, Lisa. Now let's move on to our example dialogue.
I bought this new book to help me with gardening.
Oh, that's great. What's the purpose of the book?
My purpose is to learn how to grow vegetables in my backyard.
That sounds like a useful purpose.
That dialogue shows Mark using the book for a specific purpose, to learn about gardening.
Yeah, it's a good example of how knowing the purpose of something can help us understand its importance. Lisa, have you ever bought something with a special purpose in mind?
I have. I bought a planner to organize my day better. Its purpose was to help me manage my time. How about you, Eric?
I bought a special lamp for reading at night. Its purpose was to help me read more easily.
It was a practical solution, Eric. And do you like reading at night?
Yes, I do, Lisa. As long as I find time, I try to read at night in my bed before sleeping.
That's a very good habit, Eric.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, let's talk about our next word.
Next up, we have the word ordinary.
Ordinary.
Ordinary means normal or usual, nothing special or different.
Right, Eric. An ordinary day might be waking up, going to work or school, and then coming home. This is what happens most of the time, and it's nothing unusual.
Exactly. And when we say something is ordinary, we mean it's just like everything else, not special.
Let's listen to our example dialogue.
Are we doing anything special this weekend?
No. I think it's just going to be an ordinary weekend. Maybe watch some movies and relax.
That sounds good to me. Sometimes ordinary weekends are the best.
That dialogue really shows how ordinary is used to describe something typical, like a weekend.
Yes, and there's something beautiful about ordinary things. Eric, can you think of something ordinary that you really like?
For me, having an ordinary breakfast with coffee and toast. It's a simple way to start my day. How about you, Lisa?
I enjoy taking ordinary walks in the park. It is a simple pleasure that always makes me happy and energized.
It's amazing how ordinary things can be so meaningful. It tells us how important the simple things in life are sometimes.
Yes, Eric. Some people like to live a very ordinary life. They avoid living a complicated life. They can get enough of the ordinary things.
Exactly, Lisa. And for our listeners who are learning English, remember that it's okay to start with ordinary sentences. That's how we all start learning.
That's a good point, Eric. When learning English, it's best to start with ordinary and simple sentences and then build up to more complex ones. Now, let's talk about the phrase to be upset.
To be upset.
To be upset. When someone is upset, they are sad or angry because something unwanted has happened.
Yes, it's a feeling we all experience sometimes. For example, if you didn't get the job you wanted, you might feel upset.
Or, if you lose your favorite toy, you could be upset because it was special to you. Let's listen to our example dialogue.
Why are you upset, Mia?
I lost my phone at the park. It had all my pictures on it.
I'm sorry to hear that. Let's see if we can find it or a way to help.
That dialogue shows Mia feeling upset because she lost something important to her.
It's common to feel upset, and losing something valuable can really cause us to feel upset. Lisa, how do you usually handle it when you feel upset?
I try to talk about it with a friend. Sharing my feelings usually helps me feel better. What about you, Eric?
I'm similar. Doing something different, like going for a walk, can help me calm down and think more clearly.
Eric, are there any other ways you cope with your emotions besides walking or talking to a friend?
Definitely, Lisa. For example, listening to music or writing in a journal might be some options. Music can be really calming, and writing helps me understand why I'm upset. It's like having a conversation with myself. How about you?
Yes, I find that doing something creative like painting or crafting helps a lot. It changes my focus and helps me express my feelings in a different way. I also find that watching a funny movie or show helps me feel better.
Do you have any other methods?
Absolutely. And it's important for our listeners to know that there are many ways to handle feeling upset. Trying out different things can help you find what works best for you.
It is interesting how some activities that make our hands or our minds busy can help us manage our feelings of being sad. Yes, Lisa, let's move on to our last word. Our final word for today is get rid of.
Get rid of.
Get rid of. It means to remove something you don't want or need anymore.
That's right, Eric. For example, when you have old clothes that don't fit, you might get rid of them by donating them to someone who can use them.
Exactly. Or, if you have a headache, you take medicine to get rid of the pain.
Yes, Eric, let's look at our example dialogue.
This old desk has so much space in my room.
Why don't you get rid of it? You could sell it or give it away.
That's a good idea. I'll see if someone else can use it.
That example shows how Carla decides to get rid of something she no longer needs, making space for something new.
Yes, getting rid of some things can be really effective sometimes. Eric, have you ever had to get rid of something?
I have. I got rid of a bunch of old books I no longer read. I donated them to the library, and it felt good knowing someone else might enjoy them. How about you, Lisa?
I recently got rid of some old kitchen gadgets. It cleared up so much space. And I realized I didn't miss them at all.
It's interesting how getting rid of things we don't need can make us feel happier and more organized.
Definitely. Also, remember that getting rid of old habits that do not help you learn English can be very helpful.
Great point, Lisa. Getting rid of some bad things can open up some new opportunities.
Exactly. Well, listeners, we end today's episode of English Explained Simply. We hope you found our explanations and examples helpful, and that you're feeling a bit more comfortable with these English words.
Absolutely, Lisa. Remember, learning a new language is all about taking small steps and being kind to yourself. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's how we learn.
True words, Eric. We love hearing from you, so don't hesitate to share your thoughts, stories, or even words you'd like us to explain in future episodes.
Before we say goodbye, we want to thank you all for joining us. Keep practicing, and remember, we're here to help make English a little bit easier for you.
Yes, thank you for spending your time with us. We'll be back with more words to explore, more dialogues, and, of course, more chats. Until then, take care and keep learning. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Hello, everyone, where we make English easy and fun for you. I'm Eric.
And I'm Lisa. Today we will explain 5 useful English words that can help you express yourself better. We'll explain them simply, give you example dialogues, and chat about each one.
Absolutely, Lisa. And remember, we're here to help you build confidence in your English skills. So, get a cup of tea and let's get started.
Our first word is today, to prevent. Then we will continue with to handle, goal, to be wise, and the final one is to deal with.
Okay, our first word today is to prevent.
To prevent.
To prevent. What does it mean, Lisa?
To prevent means to stop something or to keep a situation from happening. It's like putting a stop sign on a problem before it starts. For instance, eating healthy can prevent illnesses.
It's often used to keep someone safe. For example, you can prevent accidents by being careful, or you can prevent illness by eating healthy and exercising.
Exactly, Eric. For example, if you wear a helmet, it can prevent injuries when you ride a bike.
Or if you wash your hands regularly, it can prevent you from getting sick.
Okay, let's listen to our example dialogue to see how it can be used in everyday conversation.
I heard the weather will be really bad tomorrow. How can we prevent any damage to our garden?
Good question, Lucy. We can prevent damage by covering the plants. It's all about being prepared.
Great idea. Let's do that. Preventing problems now can save us a lot of trouble in the future.
Absolutely. A little effort to prevent possible problems can make a big difference.
This dialogue shows some simple steps can be safe and prevent problems from happening.
This really shows the power of preventing, Lisa.
Absolutely. Have you ever done something to prevent something from happening, Eric?
Yes, I have. I once made a copy of all my work files on a portable drive so that I wouldn't lose them if my computer crashed. This was a good step to take to prevent file loss. Lisa, how about you?
I'm similar. I always check the weather forecast to prevent getting wet in the rain. It's a simple but effective method.
These are great examples of how to use to prevent in our daily lives. Remember, some small steps can prevent big problems.
Absolutely. Remember, if you learn more English vocabulary, it will prevent misunderstandings when you speak English. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next word?
Let's do it, Lisa. The next word is to handle.
To handle.
To handle.
What does it mean, Eric?
When we say to handle something, we mean to manage or deal with a situation or object.
Exactly, Eric. It's a very useful word. You can handle a cup. it means you hold and use it. Or you can handle a problem, it means you try to solve it.
Let's look at some examples. For examples, if you're at a restaurant, you might handle the menu to choose what to eat.
Or if you're feeling sad, one of your friends can help you handle your feelings by talking with you.
Now let's look at a short example dialogue to see to handle in action.
Hey, Jane, can you handle these documents? They need to be finished by the end of the day.
Sure, Mark. I'll handle it. After that, can you help me handle the meeting arrangements for tomorrow?
Absolutely, Jane. We make a great team when we handle tasks together.
That was a perfect example of using to handle in different situations.
Yes, it showed us. How to handle can mean dealing with tasks or situations. Lisa, have you had to handle a difficult situation recently?
I did, actually. Last week, my neighbor's cat climbed up a tree and couldn't get down. I had to decide how to handle the situation. So, I called a friend who's good with animals, and we safely got the cat down together.
That's a great example of handling a difficult situation. And it's important to remember, if you ask someone for help, it can be a good way to handle things.
Absolutely. Before we move to the next word, remember to try using to handle in your conversations. Now let's talk about our next word, goal.
Goal.
Goal. A goal is something you want to do. For example, to read a book every month or to learn a new language might be one of your goals.
That's right, Lisa. Goals can be big or small. Remember, we can use goal in different ways, but the meaning of it is always about doing something.
Right, Eric. Goals can be big or small as well. For example, you might want to speak English fluently, or small. You might want to learn 5 new words a day. Now, let's listen to a short example of dialogue.
Emma, I heard. You set a new goal for yourself. What is it?
Yes, Alex. My goal is to read 1 English book every month. What about you?
That's a great goal. My goal is to run a marathon next year. It's going to be tough, but I'm excited.
We can help each other stay motivated. Reaching goals is easier together.
Absolutely. Let's check in on our progress every week.
I love that dialogue, Lisa. Alex has set a personal goal to run a half marathon, and Emma offers to help her achieve it. It's wonderful how goals can also motivate us.
Exactly, Eric. Setting some goals helps us to focus and work for something important. Do you have any personal goals you're working on right now?
Yes, I do. My current goal is to improve my cooking skills. I've been trying out new recipes every weekend. It's hard, but it's nice to see my improvement.
That's a great goal, Eric. It also shows that goals aren't just results. They allow us to improve ourselves.
It's great to have goals, isn't it? They motivate us to go forward and improve ourselves.
Yes, they do. And remember, listeners, if you have goals for your English, it can make a big difference. Start with simple goals and make them bigger, slowly.
Okay, let's move on to the next word. To be wise.
To be wise.
To be wise. What does it mean, Lisa?
It means to make good decisions with good information and experience. It is about making good choices. It's not just about knowing a lot, but also about using that information in a clever way. For example, it's wise to save money for unexpected expenses.
That's it. Being wise also means to think about the future, not just now. Like, the sky was clear, but she was wise to bring an umbrella.
Or it's wise to listen carefully before speaking. This will help you understand better and make better responses.
Let's check out our example dialogue that shows how to be wise can be used in daily life.
I'm thinking about using my savings to buy a new phone, but I'm not sure if it's the right decision.
Well, it might be wise to think if you really need a new phone right now, or if you can use it for something better.
That's a good point. It will be wise to think about all my options before I make a decision.
Exactly. Sometimes, being wise means to think about what is more important for you.
That dialogue perfectly shows the importance of being wise when you make decisions, especially when it is about money.
It really does, Lisa. And it's important to remember that being wise also means learning from your mistakes and listening to advice from others.
Absolutely, Eric. Can you tell us a time you made a better decision because you were wise?
Sure. Once I had to decide whether to accept a risky job offer. I decided it would be wise to talk to mentors and think twice about it. It helped me make a wise decision.
That's a great example of being wise. For me, making a decision to learn a new language was a wise decision. It opened so many opportunities for me.
Wise decisions indeed. Listeners, think about how you can be wise in your daily life when you learn, work, or live relationships.
As you continue to learn English, you can make a big difference in your life if you are wise about your decisions.
Okay, it's time to move on to our last important word, to deal with.
To deal with.
To deal with.
What does it mean, Eric?
To deal with means to take action to solve a problem or manage a situation. For example, I have to deal with a lot of emails at work. Or if you're feeling upset, you might deal with your feelings by talking to a friend or going for a walk. Or, as a teacher, I deal with students of all ages.
That's a good example, Eric. It can also mean to accept and handle a difficult situation. For example, after the storm, the town had to deal with many fallen trees. Let's listen to a dialogue showing how to deal with can be used.
The kitchen sink is dropping water again. We need to deal with it before it becomes worse.
I agree. Let's deal with it by calling a plumber today. And maybe we can also learn how to repair simple problems ourselves.
That's a good idea. Learning to deal with small repairs can save us time and money.
Exactly. It's important to deal with problems properly.
This dialogue shows that dealing with problems well can prevent them from becoming bigger problems.
It really does. Dealing with problems is a part of life. Eric, can you think of a time when you had to deal with something difficult?
Yes, once I had to deal with losing my job. It was tough, but I focused on improving my skills and finally found a better opportunity.
That's exciting, Eric. Dealing with problems positively can help us grow new opportunities.
Absolutely, Lisa. And for our listeners, remember, to learn how to deal with different situations in English is also a great skill. It can be to understand new words or express your feelings. Dealing with these challenges will improve your English.
As we wrap up today's podcast, we hope the words and phrases we've discussed, like to deal with, inspire you to face challenges with confidence and curiosity.
Keep practicing, stay curious, and don't forget to deal with new words and phrases as opportunities to grow your English skills.
Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We're excited to see how you use what you've learned. Until next time, goodbye.
Keep learning and dealing with English in the best way possible. Bye, everyone.